لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning and welcome to the special Hajj podcast. It is the 7th of the Hijjah in 1442. It is also the 18th of July 2021. So it is a very important day, and the Hujjaj, actually limited amount of Hujjaj at the moment in Saudi Arabia, actually proceeding towards Mina as we speak. And then, of course, also today is Mandela Day as well here in South Africa, so we should not forget that as well. But right now, we are actually going to be crossing over to Ashraf Garda, and many of you would know him as well, quite a seasoned journalist as well. And he's going to join us now to share his Hajj experience. He had attended Hajj in previous years. So let's just see if Ashraf has joined us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ashraf, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Walaikum salam. I hope you can hear me and see me as well, yeah?
Unfortunately, I can't see you, but I can hear you. So let's just try and rectify that. Perhaps if I can ask the technical team to provide direction on how to rectify the image. I'm not sure if can you see me? Oh, there, perfect. Okay, there I can see you. All right. Okay. So, today is a special day locally and abroad as well, as I mentioned earlier on. So it is for Hajj, it is a special day. And, with all that's been happening in Durban, these days have just passed and it's just happened so quickly. It's all just a blur. But you've joined us now to speak about your Hajj experience. So let's just start off by which year exactly was it that you attended Hajj?
So when you say the year, you have to answer it in two ways. You say 2017 and you say 1438, which is 4 years ago.
All right. So you went in 2017. Your experience. Let's hear about it. What was that experience exactly?
Well, it's a difficult one to answer in terms of because there's so many layers of this experience that people pick up different things, right? Accepting perhaps the best way to answer it is to look at where we are now. And today is the first day of Hajj, as you're aware of, and from last night, there's a sense of yearning by myself and my wife and my daughter and her husband who went together and many other people, right, who've been on the Hajj before. There's this yearning to want to be there, and perhaps maybe that's the best way to answer what is the experience. That means it is an umbilical cord that connects you to Allah through the Hajj that inshallah connects you forever, because you always want to be part of that unique connection of the time of Hajj. So for me it was many things: the spiritual side, the formal prayers, the informal prayers, the meeting of people, the making new chommies, South Africans, non-South Africans, trying to understand different languages, the foods we eat, trying to find space in the harams, which is a major problem. It's not a given, right? To eating at midnight and getting up in the early parts of the morning for the Fajr Salah, for the Fajr prayer, but walking not a few people, but going in your thousands to make Salah, the Tawaf, the going to the Masjid al-Nabawi. I'm talking of now in Medina, and seeing the green dome of that covers the tomb of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then entering that area and hearing people from all different walks of life speaking different languages, but unified by this one phrase, Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah. So, I mean, there are so many things there: the day of Arafat, the trials, the tribulations, the anxiety, but the hope as well. And we are tested, and you're coming through all of that and answering that call of labbaik. So I know I'm saying like 10 different things, but in fact, that's exactly what it is. It is a whole range of different things and different emotions that come together on this, what has been called, it's cliched, but it's so true, this journey of a lifetime. Yeah.
Mm. And when you come back from Hajj, right? Did you feel that change? Like something from within yourself spiritually. Did you feel yourself move? And when you return from Hajj, did you feel that change personally?
Yes, to a large degree, and no to some other parts, because I think it's a bit wishful thinking to think like we're just this perfect human being. No, I mean there's certain aspects, absolutely, that you feel not even when you come back, but when you're there already, right? Um, and
Right.
there are certain parts that you have a stronger hold on, which I think is really important. But overall, are you when you come back, do you find yourself more empowered personally, more spiritually empowered, more empowered from a social justice point of view, because of the Hajj? The answer is yes.
All right, so I think that's quite what the whole purpose of going for Hajj, and the sacrifices. Of course, the Hajj journey itself does come with sacrifices as well. Some of the challenges perhaps you might have faced, while embarking on this journey.
I think the challenge is going to the Hajj is always, and I don't just say for myself, I think for everybody, is you're counting your pennies, because there's a huge financial cost, as you know. You go for like 6 weeks, it comes at a major cost, and you do wonder whether you've got enough of the money, and then whether you have enough money for the house in your absence, and whether you guys are going to be fine. I mean, that's the one challenge. The honestly, the rest of the challenges are, with hindsight, you wouldn't want to change even the challenges. You don't want to change the challenges, because Hajj is not supposed to be easy. I mean, I just think about someone who goes on a school camp, and your parents tell you, well, you're going to go for like a weekend away on a camp, and you're not going to come back and say, but you know what, it's not like the house. The water's not as hot as the showers that we have at home, or we had to sleep outside. My bed is a lot more comfortable. I mean, the answer would be like, but excuse me, that's what the camp is all about. It is a coming of age experience, so it's not supposed to be simple without challenges. And in the same way, the Hajj is like the ultimate camp, isn't it? So
Mm, mm,
I think the mindset um, has got to be right, up front. Like, why are you going? What are you expecting? How much of the history, besides the religious part of it, how much of the history of understanding the Hajj do you know? How much of what you know connects to social justice? What are you hoping to achieve? If you know all of those things and you know your purpose for the Hajj, then I think the challenges that get thrown at you are they're really just that. They're challenges that you expect. It's an obstacle course every single day.
mm. And it's interestingly, the way you've actually compared this to you've compared it to a camping trip, right? In so many ways, with regards to certain challenges, it is quite similar to a camping trip, but at the same time, it's also quite different to your normal vacation trip to another country, right?
Well, I mean, absolutely, it's not a vacation, and it shouldn't be
Yeah.
a vacation, right? So there are aspects that you can have fun, and that's absolutely great. But in its essence, it's not a vacation. It's not a classic camp. It's, as I
Mm,
said, it's the ultimate spiritual camp. Um, and the beauty part for us to go for 6 weeks. It was the best decision we made, because initially we were saying maybe 4 weeks, because you count the time, you count the costs, and we advised to go like don't go less than 6 weeks. And I think it is the best decision we made at the time ever. Alhamdulillah.
right. You went in 2017. What was that one moment that stood out for you?
I think so. Here's I mean, there's really two parts of the one moment. And I have difficulty with just one moment parts, to be very honest with you, because as I've already
Mm,
mentioned, it's like a series of things, right? Uh,
all right.
I mean, for me, the telling image I have all the time, um, of making the tawaf, right? And when you make the tawaf, you pass the what is called the Muqam Ibrahim. For those who know, the station of Ibrahim, which is the of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, which is the footprint of his when him and his family built the Kaaba. And as you do that, You recite, you give your salutations to him. In fact, like the Durood to Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the best way is to honor him as you can honor the family of Ibrahim. And when you pass that station of Ibrahim in Tawaf, and you say that loudly, and you're aware that more than 1400 years beyond that, what 3,000-4,000 years ago, somebody built this place because Allah commanded that person to build a place, and we are here to thank him, and that is of course Ibrahim alayhi salam, the Prophet Ibrahim and his family, and that stood out for me every single time that we made the tawaf, just to honor him. But I mean that's the one aspect. By the same token, on the day of on the first day of Hajj in Mina, which is where people are now, they probably would be arriving. Look, this year is different. The numbers are far less, but people would be arriving in Mina, and to that chant of Labbaik, Allahumma Labbaik. It's incredible. And when we jumped up, many people may have watched the movie The Message, and it just sums it up. When we went from Makkah to Medina, sorry, let me get that right, from Medina to Makkah, so entering Makkah for the first time by bus, and as you're getting closer to Makkah and in the distance you see the towers, there's a fear, but a beautiful fear, not a scary fear, a beautiful fear in terms of where you're going. And I couldn't help but recollect that period when finally, after all those battles, the Muslims from Medina, led by Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then arrived in Makkah, and as we know, they effectively were handed the city because their numbers had swelled to such an extent. They were given the city to run, and that moment for me, coming from Medina, that's why it was so good to come from Medina to Makkah as opposed to go from Makkah to Medina. That stood out for me, although we were in a bus, of that period of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his Sahaba, and all of them chanting Labbaik and arriving for the Hajj, or in fact for them also coming home for the first time. That's simply, but I mean there were so many that then Makkah, Mina on the first day of the Hajj, not just the Labbaik, those tents, and you've had images of that, and I'm sure you'll put up more. Those were incredible images, but also the meeting of people that will stay with you for forever, inshallah.
Inshallah, I mean, and I think Hajj is something that's got to be experienced on the ground. It's something that you can't really capture the full experience of it. If you look at the visuals, although it does it is quite interesting to see the visuals as they come out from the Holy Lands during the Hajj season, right? But it's something that you've got to be there to experience properly, right? So as somebody who has performed Hajj in the past, somebody who has experienced it now, today, looking at the people, looking at the visuals that are coming through today, in particular, as the Hajj move to Mina as well today. How do you feel about that? When you look at these visuals, knowing that I have experienced this before, I was there exactly 4 years ago.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do now. I mean, I haven't yet seen the visuals this morning, but what I'm going to do is, let me just get my visuals right on this side here. Sorry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to at least try and endeavor to call about 20 chomis that I had that we met up during the Hajj and have a chat with them today, because that's the bond. You see, that's the bond that will never separate. You have something that is just so unique, and you want to be a part of it. So, I mean, I want to do that. That's the first thing. The second part is, and I mean, there were many lessons to learn, and I'll maybe just share this with you because I think it's important. On the final day of the Hajj, when we're about to sort of make the final pelting of the shaitan, the jamarat, that is, we were asked by the imam at the time, it's like, what do you feel? Who wants to like stay here forever? And most of the people in our group all raised their hands to say, we wish we don't have to go home, right? And I remember they asked me, Maulana Dawood Simpson, in fact, was the imam. It's like, what about you? And I was like, actually, I'm in a hurry to go home. And he said, well, why did you did you not enjoy your Hajj experiences? On the contrary, actually, we had a brilliant time. But I'm in a hurry to go home because I've been inspired by the social justice model of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I understand that my role in fulfilling that social justice model is not in this country, that is in Saudi Arabia. It is in South Africa. So I'm in a hurry to go home because I have a country to build. And that is my inspiration. And why it's so topical today, as you know, I mean, you're from the KZN and Durban region yourself.
Mm, mm,
So much has happened, particularly in that region, and there's a talk of a rebuild SA, and we need to do so many things. But central to what may happen in South Africa, one was the political issue about a possible insurrection as per the president, but the other is the sheer level of poverty that has it's so ingrained that people who don't even know have jumped on the bandwagon to rush and to steal and to pilfer and to demolish because others have told them so. Meaning, the central part of what I'm saying is we have a serious social justice problem in our country when there's extreme wealth and there's extreme poverty. And if you follow the example of the Medina example, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked people, say, to the people of Medina, can you share in half your wealth with the people of Makkah? You know that, right? That's why they were called the Ansarullah, the helpers of Allah. Now, many people did. I don't think they were forced to, they were encouraged to do so. And I'm not suggesting we must share in half our wealth today. Goodness, I think we were too miserly to do that, honestly. And I'm being realistic about it. But
mm,
if we can't share in our wealth, can we share in our skills? I think what has come out of Durban or KZN in particular in the last week is this need to accelerate the transfer of skills from those who have it to those who do not have it as a means of sharing in your wealth. Because once people have skills, then they're empowered. Once they're empowered, they will learn. Once they learn, they will earn money. Once they earn money, they become wealthy themselves. It is the one way we can ensure that what happened in this past week does not happen again, no matter who may have incited it or not. People did go out in their big numbers, and they left whatever their logic was, and they searched for something, as if someone had said, there's like Zamzam water here, go and rush and get your water, otherwise you won't get it again. If you get what I'm saying. So therefore, for me, that was my biggest message, to say I'm in a hurry to go home because I have a country to build,
mm.
right? The
And I
other
think,
part,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Sure, do go ahead.
Carry on, yeah.
No, I was actually just about to begin wrapping up, but if you do have one more part, that you'd like to share with us, sure, by all means, do go ahead.
Well, I mean, that's the one part. The second part, really quickly, was, I think, what the Hajj, you have you have the Hajj. People can go to the tents of Mina, and you also can get like special services. And I'm a strong opponent to special services. I think unless you're going for like maybe media work and you have to just jump in and jump out, for the majority, you want to go on the camp like everybody else, and that's a decision that we took that I think is really important. The third one, very quickly, is upon our return, we set up a portal called That's My Hajj. In fact, I tweeted, so even if people follow my tweets all through the period then, under the hashtag That's My Hajj, you'll pick up all the posts I did on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, right through in that period when I went, right? But we then created a portal on Instagram in particular and on Facebook called That's My Hajj, the portal, right? And every time what we're doing, and I'm doing it today as well, encouraging people to go to that portal and post pictures, not of Medina, the buildings. No, we're talking about personal pictures, personal experience pictures. Post pictures and videos of their own Hajj experience. So tag that's my Hajj, and then use that hashtag That's My Hajj. We'll pick it up, or you can even DM us to That's My Hajj, and we'll share that today over the next 4 days or 5 days, please. And the last thing to say is this. I'm very keen, and I want to throw this out. We created this portal called That's My Hajj, not just for sharing of memories, but what I'd like one day, inshallah, someone to pick up the cudgels and create a foundation called the That's My Hajj Foundation, so that in the name of Hajj, we start making interventions in South Africa, the closest intervention to the Medina model, whatever that is. But it needs someone to run it. I don't have the time, but I'm very happy to lend my support and to use that portal called That's My Hajj to instigate that. So if anybody is keen, let me know. I mean, you can drop me a DM on all social media platforms, or even drop me an email, Ashraf at championsouthafrica.co.za. So that's the point. What is it we can do besides living on the memories of the Hajj to make a meaningful contribution where the Hajj in Makkah and Medina can assist all South Africans, even if they're not Muslim? How do we do that? By creating this That's My Hajj Foundation and following the Medina example of a skills transfer.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good, the way you can, seeking ways to apply the lessons that you've learned from Hajj, to apply them in the South African context, and see how we can use these lessons to, rebuild South Africa, especially seeing how the unrest of the past week has actually destroyed a lot of the infrastructure, especially here in the Durban region. But I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experience.
Thanks for the invitation. And I think that resonance of Labbaik, I'm here, is what we're going to stay with for the next few days, inshallah.
Inshallah, Ameen. All right, that was Ashraf Garda speaking to us about his Hajj experience. In fact, he made the pilgrimage in 2017, and that was him sharing his experience with us here to the listeners of Salam Media on Facebook and YouTube, as well as on our radio broadcast as well. Right now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we speak to Zahid Jadwat. The Ahmed Kathrada Foundation is commemorating the Nelson Mandela Day, of course, just like many South Africans, most South Africans. Today is an important day as well for us here as South Africans. So let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we speak to Zahid Jadwat. Please do stay tuned.
إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا.
Salam Media, your official humanitarian Hajj broadcaster.